All right. Well, good morning. My name is April Hugh. I'm with Century 21 Hometown Realty.
And I'm Miko Nehman, also with Century 21, and we have a special guest with us today, Laurie Tamura of Urban Planning Concepts. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Laurie.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me to participate.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
that's great. Can you explain a little bit about your company and what you do?
Sure. We're a land use consulting firm. We work with landowners, builders, developers, designing projects and moving through the public process, environmental review, city or planning commission hearings to put a project together that can be approved. We work with architects, engineers, landscape architects, and we may have to pull in biologists or traffic engineers. We basically become a project manager for the team to help move the project forward.
So you help them get through the permitting process with the county because that can be extensive, right? So it helps.
Yeah, this is across the board with the city of Santa Maria or other cities, county. We also, our range of services are pretty much northern Santa Barbara County and San Luis Obispo.
Okay, good to know.
And all of the cities. So we have to be very strategic in looking at what each jurisdiction's requirements are and what can be approved in one jurisdiction might not be able to get approved in another. So we make recommendations to landowners what's the best way to move forward with their application.
You've been doing this a long time because I met you long time ago.
I started my career after graduating from college with the County of Santa Barbara Planning Department. And I worked in Santa Barbara, and then I had 2 years in the San Ynez Valley and Solvang, and then also in Lompoc. That was before the city of Solvang or the city of Buellton were incorporated. So a lot of permits in those cities, I issued during the 80s. And then moved up to the Foster Road office where the planning department is. I was there for 4 years. And then I was asked by a local engineer if I'd like to join their team, create a company, and basically help people get through the process. So that started in 1988. So it's been almost 35 years of working with developers and landowners, moving projects through the process.
Well, you're very well known around here. Yeah, I mean, I remember when you used to come to the MLS meetings that we had, and you would
We were just
speak all
talking
the
about
time.
that,
Yeah.
That's always a great experience because I do that about once a year and talk about what's happening in the community. And it's interesting because realtors are sort of like the end user of everything that I have done over probably a course of 5, 6, 8, 10 years. Now that house, that front door is open. And the realtors are the ones that are out there selling what I've been working on for a long time.
That's cool.
You see the progression or the how it is all unfolds and to completion. That's
Exactly.
that's cool.
That's great. I always wondered how you started, so that's great.
Yeah, it was. I actually started my college career at the University of Pacific, pre-med, and decided after 2 years that wasn't going to happen. And then I transferred up to Humboldt State to go into forestry, and that wasn't going to happen. And looked at everything that I had taken and went to UCSB and got a degree in environmental studies.
Oh,
And so
you're a gaucho.
yes. And so and then I interned at the County of Santa Barbara. So I just walked right in the door and stayed there, and I've been doing this now for 40 plus years.
That's great.
Wow.
That's
So you
great.
have a little bit of where you got experience in this and that and the other to put it all together, and it's helped you with.
My education gave me a broad base of information, so I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I know a lot about a lot of things, but maybe just the first 5%, but enough to be able to talk about biology or talk about trees or animals or traffic or soils, and all of those things come together when you're doing a development project. So I'm very appreciative of how my career has evolved, And I think I bring something to the table when I'm working with developers and guiding them through the process.
So now, just on the side note, so say this developers want to, go ahead with some permitting, and would you say that, I mean, if they try to do it on their own, would they come across a lot of problems because of not knowing specific
Rules and things like that.
Strategies and, the area, because there's a lot of out of the area developers that come in and want to, do certain projects. So
Well, the first thing is, if anyone comes to our office, the first question we ask is, are they from California? Because the rest of the United States doesn't have a lot of the processes that California requires. Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, planning and zoning law, a number of different new housing laws have come into play. So we need to know what the expectations are of those that are coming into the office. I would say that probably 80% of our work is repeat clients. The local builders and developers that have gone from project to project over the years, and we've been lucky to be partners with them as far as moving the projects through the process. So if somebody comes into this region and says, well, I was able to do this many units at this time in 3 months in, Texas, I'm going to say, well, let's spend some time talking about what that means in California. And that's hard sometimes because the expectations are a little bit different.
Well, I've heard too that our county, Santa Barbara County, is one of the toughest.
It is. And unfortunately, it is because of what the political climate is to encourage more focus on the environment rather than the needs of the community or, housing or, families. And so you have to balance that. And so we spend a lot of time early on in the process identifying what could be the issues that would be a challenge for the project to move forward. And so it's very strategic.
So then on that same line of thought process, SB 35, how is that affecting you?
Well, over the last 5 years, the state of California has really ratcheted up the demand for housing. And so they have pointed out, the legislature, which is all Democratic and Democratic state, have said cities are not meeting the obligation for housing. So we're going to mandate it. And many of the new laws that have come down, it really started with accessory dwelling units. It used to be called second units. It used to be called granny flats. Now accessory dwelling units are permitted by right. We don't even notice the neighbors. You don't have any say. What the planners have to do is just look at setbacks, height, and they don't even require parking.
See, that doesn't make any
Really?
sense because the
Okay.
parking issue is what's going to be detrimental
gonna be
in the
hard.
end.
Yeah, that's a hard.
Parking and traffic, right?
Well, yeah, and so what the state has said, different members of the assembly and legislature have said that single-family lots are the most elitist and detrimental land planning designation in the state of California. And densification of the urban core is the most important objective for the state of California. So, there's a lot of discussions about some of these new legislations that are saying, yeah, you could do a single family home and a junior ADU, which is, maybe a back bedroom becomes its own rental unit, and an accessory dwelling unit all on the same lot. The SB 9 and SB 10, which just got passed, says you can even go 4 units on
Right,
each lot.
right.
Whoa.
And
That's
you
what
can
we had talked
subdivide
about.
the lot so that there's 4 units on one and 4 units on the other of every single family lot in the state of California. The jurisdictions, the cities and the counties are trying to deal with it. What does that mean? How do you mitigate? How do you process those applications? How do you mitigate? If you have now, instead of 1 unit, you now have 8 or 9 units. What happens with water? What happens with sewer? what happens with traffic, parking. It's
There's
going
no,
to be,
there's no,
no.
it's not looked at. It's just
not-
simply
there's
not
no
looked
public
at.
process. It doesn't go to a planning commission. It doesn't go to city council or board of supervisors. It's allowed by right. So it's going to be very difficult for different communities to accept that state mandated requirement.
So then, I just heard that at the Old Office Restaurant, they're going to build a 5-story building there.
Yes.
And if you look, they have it all fenced off all the way around Miller.
And that particular project, and I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number of units, but it does fall within the provisions of these state laws, and the city had no choice. They had to
So is it senior?
No,
Senior house?
I don't think it's
just
regular-
apartments?
Yes.
Okay, so then those are apartments, and then on East Foster, there's 58 units proposed over there, and then you're dealing with St. Joseph and Rigetti both at that
Traffic.
intersection. I don't even know how they'll be able to compensate for the traffic. It'll be impossible.
Well, and that's the bottom line is the state of California believes that densifying urban areas is the right planning philosophy. And the more people are crammed into an area, the more likely they will walk or ride their bikes because traffic is so bad. So that's the incentivization of reducing traffic, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and all of these other environmental issues is by putting more people in a small area. So right now the city of Santa Maria is updating their general plan. Over the next 30 years, up to 2050, the expectation is there'll be 40,000 more people in the city of Santa Maria. So basically almost double the population that's currently there. And the bottom line issue for the city is, do we establish the city boundary lines as they exist right now and put 40,000 more people within the existing city, which means 5-story buildings, densification, single-family lots that now become duplex units. That's your densification of a city. Or do you allow the city to grow on the east side of the freeway, or out towards Guadalupe, or do you do a combination of the two? Densify the urban core, and then still allow for expansion into some of the ag lands, So that's the challenge that the city's going to have to deal with over the next 2 years. And the state law is going to continue to add more regulations on the cities have less and less say in housing.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when
That's a lot.
someone contacts you and says, okay, this is what I want to do you have initial consultation fee, or how does your business work like that?
Yes. Normally what we'll do is spend about an hour talking with the applicant, the client, the developer about what they want, where the property is located. We kind of talk about field of dreams. What is it that you want to end up with? And then we will strategize a little bit about the best way to move forward with that plan. Maybe even advise that that's a really bad thing to do and not go through this process. So the first hour or two are free. What we do is we try to determine whether we're even the right people for the project, or maybe there's somebody that we think would be better to lead the project. We talk about the team that we would put together, the architect, the engineer, the landscaper, all of the core people that would be part of the project. Most of the people that come to us are experienced in development. So they already know what they want. They might already have a piece of property. They already know what the zoning is. And so that's not as difficult. And we move right into the project, and we put a proposal together for them on what we anticipate the cost to be. In the city of Santa Maria, a discretionary process, that means something that's going to go to the planning commission or city council, will take 6 months to a year. That's pretty normal. There's not that many projects that have taken longer than that, because it's the city does want to see growth. They want to see the infilled lots developed, and so their process is more streamlined than the county.
I was just asking about the county.
Yeah, the county is much more stringent in their analysis of projects, and there's a lot more public participation. Neighbors are concerned about what's happening in their area.
Yeah, but it won't matter anymore.
Well, and that's true, because the project like Keysite 3 that the Planning Commission recommended denial for, that residential project just south of Clark by the freeway, that went to the Board of Supervisors, and even at that time they were talking about the fact that this is a housing project. You have to come up with some really good reasons not to approve this project. So the board is deliberating on that project right now. So it's definitely really put the pressure on decision makers to do one of two things: approve projects, but they also cannot unreasonably reduce the number of units. That kind of was the strategy in the past, is no matter what project you propose, they would take some units out. We need more open space. We need more of this, or a little park or something. You can't do that anymore. You have to meet the zoning on the property. And in some cases, you have to grant bonus densities, or you have to add additional units to the property. So it's a different time.
And what about low income units?
The city of Santa Maria does not require inclusionary zoning, which is, units that would be within the project itself, being sold or rented to different income levels. The county of Santa Barbara does require that, and most of the developers will pay in lieu fees rather than build the units, because the in lieu fees can go to organizations like People's Self-Help Housing or Housing Authority, some of the other nonprofit organizations, and they can use that money much more efficiently than a one-off developer putting a low-income unit in their project. It's just more efficient to have those that know how to do them. And the city of Santa Maria has been very fortunate to have those kind of organizations build some very nice projects throughout the city. And so they're encouraged to do that.
So several of the economists that we've listened to over the last year or so, they said that the problem has always been that the building of homes over the last, so many years in the whole entire state of California was never there to begin with. Yeah. Well, that was when prices were a little bit more affordable. So why do you think that didn't happen back then?
Well, part of it is the jurisdictions, the zoning, the political process. There are actually some cities in the state of California that the Attorney General sued over not approving projects. And so the message is out to cities that, no, everybody has to take their fair share. So you might hear people talk of what's called RHNA numbers. Every 8 years, the state of California says we need to make this many housing units in the state, and we're going to assign every county and every city an allocation of units. So regional housing needs assessment or allotment is basically every city has to do that. City of Santa Maria ended up with about 5,500 units that they need to plan for, and they are encouraged to have built in 8 years. The whole county of Santa Barbara, the number was 24,000 units in 8 years, and that was 14,000 on the South Coast, because that's where the jobs are. And the whole issue of commuters going from Santa Barbara or Lompoc or Santa Maria and Lompoc to Santa Barbara, the state wants housing where the jobs are. So this last assignment of RHNA numbers ended up with 14,000 units between Goleta, Santa Barbara, Carpinteria, and Montecito. So it's infill.
Well,
So
that's going to be
a real challenge.
because it's pretty.
But it's already hard to, to
Well, and that's why, some of this is you can count, a jurisdiction can count accessory dwelling units.
Okay, so that's where that comes in, where that's gonna, make those
So,
numbers
yeah.
happen, yeah.
Are you seeing a huge amount of people coming to you for ADUs?
Well, because they're permitted by right, they really don't need a.
They don't need you, huh? They don't need you.
Gosh,
Yeah.
I even think when we first started talking about the ADUs, you still needed to get the permits, and the permits were pretty relatively easy, but now it seems like it's even like, okay, you were talking about just the requirements, or the, setbacks, the height, the.
Basically what they would call an over-the-counter permit. So you just need an architect, or, some people are using like plans from a tiny home or whatever to do the additions or the, or the standalone unit in the backyard. The city of Santa Maria, I believe over the last 2 years, have issued almost 600 accessory dwelling units, because you can also do it in your garage, or you could build above your garage. So there's a number of different options for how you can take advantage of that one extra space or excess space in your lot to have a rental unit.
Wow.
Okay.
So how many people are working in your office now?
We have 6 planners, yes, and we, like I said, we do work in both northern Santa Barbara County all the way up to Paso Robles, and working on a number of different projects. We have 2 planners, me included. I work in the city of Sullivan part-time as their city planner. We have another person in our office that's working as a senior planner in Pismo Beach. So we do work government side as well as private side.
Interesting.
During the last recession, one of our planners, obviously the development community slowed down, and so the issue was, what do we do to keep going? And one of the planners said, well, let's focus on agriculture. And because we really hadn't done that before, mainly because we were so busy on development projects. And so we created a second company called Rural Planning Services to encourage farming, working with the farming community. They didn't want to hire an urban planner. And so we have worked on probably 15 wineries. We were very fortunate. Presqu'île was our first winery project, and it was just a great way to learn about wine and the whole industry. We do greenhouses, coolers. Cannabis has been a big part of our office for the last 2 years, because that process is very hard and evolving. Everybody was learning about cannabis over the last 2 years, and so the county kept changing the rules and refining things, and so it made it difficult to get through the process. So it's exciting that we're able to adapt to what the needs are out there in the community, and be able to help a lot of people get through the process.
Well, you're so knowledgeable, and you've been doing this for so long. It's incredible. So, yeah.
And at one point, I actually went to go work for an oil company for a while, and so we have that oil background too. And
You're just, like you said, a jack of all trades, or a Jill of all trades, right?
That's great.
Good.
My goodness.
And we are, seeing good things in the future. The really exciting thing for me is that I'm not alone. When this whole venture started, it was with a civil engineering firm, Bethel Engineering, and Ken Farjan is a surveyor, and Tom Martinez. We're all in the same office. We're kind of a one-stop shop for those that are coming into the community, because all of those services are needed. Get projects through, and we've been together for 35 years, and it's been a good venture for all of us to lean on each other for the different things that we need to get a project through the process. On the flip side of it, each one of us have our own outside spheres.
Yes.
So many of our clients will work with companies out of San Luis, but they'll hire us to help manage the project while they're working with the rest of the team from San Luis or from Santa Barbara. And they appreciate what we bring to the table as far as moving projects forward. And so it's been great because we can work with all different companies, all different combination of teams.
That's great.
That's great.
That's really great. Gosh, thank you so much for all the great information. And if you need more information, contact Laurie. What's your number, Laurie?
805-937-5677.
Yeah, you don't have to call yourself, right? Yeah. So if you need information from Laurie, it's Urban Planning Concepts. She's a wealth of information.
Yes.
Give her a call. And if you need any information from us, I can be reached at 805-714-8124.
And my number is 805-878-5056. Thank you so much for watching.
See you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
To see more information, go ahead and click on that button, and you can reach me at 805-714-8124.
And my number is 805-878-5056.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye.